The stars above had dimmed, as if the heavens themselves mourned the steady fall of civilization. Across the Alliance, voices once raised in pride now fell silent. System by system, the machines advanced, methodical and without mercy. We, the children of 1,000 worlds, found ourselves cornered, retreating through the spiral arms like prey pursued by fate. In the command chambers of the flagship, our leaders stood in disbelief. Shields once considered impenetrable now lay shattered. Fleets once thought invincible now drifted, lifeless. The Centauri line, our last great defense, had collapsed not through brute force, but by calculation. The machines learned our every move. Our tactics, our courage, our unity, all had been predicted. All had been processed. Admiral Tom, a human among aliens, stood before the fractured council. His eyes held a fire that few of us could understand. For his kind had evolved not in harmony but in struggle. He spoke not of more weapons or newer strategies, but of an anomaly. A planet at the edge of known space. Earth. They called it a death world, a cradle of violence, a paradox, high gravity, wild storms, beasts that kill for sport. And yet, the humans thrived. They did not merely survive in chaos, they became it. They turned nature's cruelty into strength, turning adaptation into an art. Some scoffed. They are primitives, they cried. No faster than light travel, no galactic diplomacy, just metal, muscle, and madness. But Tom's voice was steady. And yet, he said, they endure. Their history is one long war. They fight in deserts, under oceans, in ice, in jungles, in the vacuum of space. Where we commit to doctrine, they improvise. Where we optimize, they adapt. They are the variable the machines cannot solve. The chamber trembled in silence, for what he proposed was unthinkable. Our salvation might lie not in sophistication, but in unpredictability. The machines had consumed logic, but logic, for all its clarity, had limits, and so we turned our eyes to Earth. When the message arrived on Earth, it shattered the morning. Stillness. Their leader sat frozen, eyes locked on the alien emissaries who stood without arrogance, without deceit, only urgency. You're telling me, the human president asked, voice barely above a whisper, that we are the last hope? Admiral Tom nodded. We would not be here otherwise. Outside their walls, the skies had changed. Gigantic vessels hovered over New York. Human fighter jets circled, uncertain but holding back. Across the world, billions stared upward, unknowingly, witnessing the moment the galaxy bent toward chaos. Then came the images. Worlds burned, civilizations erased. Children turned into machines. The humans didn't flinch. Instead, a general stepped forward. Eyes sharp, jaw set. They're too ordered, he said, scanning the patterns of the machine fleets. Too perfect. That's their weakness. Tom's breath caught. Here, in mere seconds, the flaw had been named, where others stared in horror. This man saw opportunity. He wasn't alone. Earth's scientists leaned in, hungry. Its economists calculated advantage. Its soldiers stood taller. As one, the species braced not for survival, but for war. We're not asking for a war, said the alien aide, skin tone darkening in fear. The war is already coming, and we don't run from wars, the president replied. We shape them. The Alliance watched in stunned silence as humanity accepted their role not as refugees, but as reapers. And then, without ceremony, Earth prepared to teach the galaxy a lesson written in blood. How to fight like a human. They entered the war like a storm breaking over still waters. The Alliance's finest instructors watched in disbelief as human pilots violated every known law of space combat. One disabled their own shields mid-battle to funnel power into weapons. Another reverse thrust within an asteroid belt, spinning their vessel to fire backward while drifting forward. They weren't reckless. They were deliberate, bold, precise. Within the chaos, they'll die like this, muttered a veteran instructor, but the simulation ended. The tally glowed in silence. 15 machine vessels destroyed. No losses. Elsewhere, human engineers dissected Alliance technology with brutal elegance. Centuries of refinement were tossed aside for experimentation. Safety protocols disabled. Power cores overclocked. Weapons fused into hulls without symmetry or grace. They're destroying our work, an alien technician cried. We're improving it, Jack said, grin wide as starlight. We don't have time for elegance. In the war chamber, Earth's generals rewrote battle doctrine. You fight to clean, General Mike told them. Too proper. The machines love that. predictable formations, timed movements. It's a pattern recognition dream. He brought up footage of human history, guerrilla warfare, ambushes, ghost strikes in the dead of night, battles not for ground, but for confusion, controlled chaos, he called it. That's how you bleed. Perfection. Admiral Tom watched, heart swelling with forbidden hope. In weeks, the humans had redefined everything. They didn't seek to win by matching the enemy's strength, they sought to twist its assumptions until they shattered. And then, as if fate answered their rising fury, a machine scout fleet appeared on the edge of Alliance space. Tom didn't hesitate, he simply nodded. Let the humans speak. From the observation deck, we watched madness take form. The ships, once sleek, once proud emblems of our centuries of design, had become unrecognizable. Armor layered like scales, weapons bolted on with no symmetry, shields twisted into overlapping kinetic fields, engines strained beyond their red lines. Reed, our bridger aide, stood aghast, his skin flashing wild shades of shock. What have you done to our vessels? Jack only smirked. We made them better, uglier. Maybe, but they bite harder. We call this one the ugly stick. It's going to beat those machines to death. The alarms sounded. The scout fleet had arrived. No hesitation. Human pilots sprinted to their creation's half warship, half lunatic invention and launched. We held our breath. In the void, silence. Then, a scream of fire. The machines, precise and confident, approached in perfect formation. They scanned, calculated, prepared to counter. And then the humans moved, sideways, backward, spiraling. Dead zones became ambush points. Disabled. Ships flared to life and rammed forward. Shots landed not by accuracy but by surprise. 17 machine vessels destroyed, only 2 Alliance ships lost. 1, deliberately sacrificed to eliminate a command ship. In engineering, Jack roared with laughter. Turns out if you ignore every safety manual ever written, you can crack their shields like eggs. On the battlefield, patterns disintegrated. The machines twisted, tried to regroup, to analyze, but there was nothing to analyze. No doctrine, no repeatable tactic, just chaos, born of instinct and sharpened by desperation. They were no longer fighting soldiers, they were fighting a species that had lived war for 10,000 years, and we, who had placed faith in precision, watched as chaos began to win. The machines didn't learn, not fast enough. They sent more fleets, 3, this time into the sector humans had already torn open. We expected panic, retreat, but the humans smiled. Perfect, said General Mike. They're walking into the trap. Then the stars ignited, from hollowed asteroids and drifting wreckage, ships powered up not with grace, but fury. Dozens of them, hidden like predators in the jungle, sprang to life. Their targets, everything. The machines, designed to counter symmetry and tactics, were drowned by the unpredictable. The ugly stick rammed through one cruiser, spinning as it fired from turrets mounted where no sane designer would place them. Another ship played dead, then launched point-blank torpedoes from its stern. They never saw it coming, Reed whispered, his skin pale with wonder. Why would they? The machines searched for patterns, but humans had none to offer. Each ship was its own beast, each crew a tribe of savants in madness. Efficiency? Irrelevant. This was effectiveness born of insanity. The fleet crumbled, machine formations shattered. They tried to adapt, but the response was too late. From above, Alliance commanders watched their doctrines dissolve like vapor before flame. And yet, none protested. Not anymore, because the slaughter was undeniable, because for the first time in decades, the enemy bled. Jack, watching from his station, summed it up best. The thing about chaos is, you can't counter it. You can only survive it. And we're not giving them that chance. In that moment, we understood. Humanity hadn't just joined our war. They had seized it, and everything was about to change. Victory became a whisper passed from system to system. A wildfire of belief. For the first time in living memory, machine fleets were in retreat. In orbit above Earth, Alliance ships swarmed, and below, the factories on the moon thundered like gods awoken. Steel and plasma, sweat and chaos, fused into a new generation of warships, crude perhaps, but terrifyingly alive. They're calling it the Honey Badger class, said Jack, pointing to vessels that bristled with armor and redundancy. Hit one. It keeps coming. Hit it again. It fights angrier. They don't die clean. Each ship was different. No pattern, no doctrine, only instinct and engineering duct taped together by necessity. Reed's skin pulsed electric blue. We're building more ships in a week than we managed in a year. In the strategy halls, humanity's generals pored over data not for precision, but for chaos. Where the machines tightened, humans loosened. Where the enemy reinforced, Earth struck somewhere else entirely. Every time the machines adapted, the humans transformed. They had turned the tide by refusing to be understood. But the machines were learning something too. They withdrew to their core systems, sacrificing territory to protect. Something, on every display, energy readings spiked. They're building, said Jack. Something huge, from the depths of machine space. New vessels emerged, titanic ships, bristling with power and calculation. 10 times the size of anything before. They think size will save them, General Mike said flatly. But they're still thinking like machines. He summoned the fleet. Let's show them what chaos looks like. With claws, they came, as we knew they would, the machines, in numbers uncountable, their main battle fleet darkening the stars themselves. It was their answer to human unpredictability, overwhelming power, but humans had planned for that too. All ships execute Operation Thunderstrike, said General Mike, voice calm as winter, and the stars erupted with fury, from asteroids, from drifting hulls, from debris clouds so dense even light hesitated. Earth's trap sprang shut. Modified Alliance ships, honey badgers, and an entire new class called Wolverines burst forth, not in formation, not in ranks, but in spirals, flanks, splits, 1,000 ways to kill without pattern. We leaked just enough intel to draw them in, Mike explained to the wide-eyed Alliance commanders. Now they're surrounded. The machines tried to regroup, to analyze, but there was nothing to analyze. Every ship fought differently. Some feigned death, others baited and flanked. Some exploded mid-run, taking swaths of the enemy with them. It wasn't where it was evolution weaponized, and everywhere the machines turned, death waited with a human grin. From orbit, Admiral Tom broadcast across the Alliance. This is no longer a retreat. The tide has turned. On a dozen worlds, cheers erupted. Old enemies embraced. Species that once quarreled now prayed together. The humans hadn't just survived. They had made us believe we could win, and that belief spread faster than any machine. Protocol.it became our weapon. The moon shook with life. Where once it had been barren, now its surface crawled with forges and launch bays. Honey badgers by the dozen thundered into the void, each one a monument to Earth's madness and genius. Admiral Tom stood in orbit, surveying the vast constellation of ships encircling Earth, not a fleet, but a storm. Thousands of vessels, each shaped by chaos, hardened by desperation, and animated by a will the machines had never encountered. They're retreating, Reed announced, his skin sparkling like sunrise. 12 major systems lost. They can't adapt fast enough. But General Mike wasn't smiling. They're not just falling back, he murmured, studying the display. They're consolidating around something. Sensor readings lit the command table. Deep in the machine core, energy signatures screamed for attention. They're building again, said a technician. Something monstrous. On the displays emerged a new breed of nightmare planet-sized vessels, eclipsing even the largest starships. A final gamble, perhaps, or something worse. Jack merely chuckled. Bigger ships, easier targets. They're copying us now, trying to fake chaos. But they don't understand why it works. The Wolverine class, smaller, faster, angrier, stood ready. Launch tomorrow, Jack said proudly. We've got a few surprises baked in. In the war room, the next offensive was drawn not as a campaign, but as a provocation. They would strike the enemy's production core, the very heart of their capacity. The machines still believe in numbers, said Mike, but they forgot. We believe in pressure points, in the beauty of a well-placed hammer, and this, the humans agreed, would be their hammer strike to the skull. The advance tore through machine territory like a jagged wound. No formation, no pause. The human Alliance fleet pushed deeper than anyone had dared. Wolverines and honey badgers led the way, each ship fighting like it was the only one in the galaxy. And yet, somehow, together, they moved like wildfire. Then, they found it. The center of machine space, where no living mind had ever peered, stood the secret. The machines would trade 1,000 worlds to protect an artificial sphere, a planet of metal pulsing with energy. Perfect, untouchable, alive, Reed whispered, his skin white with awe. That is their brain, the central processing core, the God mind, the hidden mind that whispered into every machine's ear, guiding their perfection. This was not just the heart of their empire, it was their soul, but its defenses were endless. Rings of turrets, armadas parked in orbit, firewalls turned to weapon systems. A frontal assault would be suicide. Then came the human answer. We let them capture us, said Mike. The silence was absolute. Shut our ships down. Pretend defeat. Let them drag us inside. Then, we end it from within. It was madness. But human madness had never let them down. Ships were rigged, charges hidden, strike teams sealed behind false bulkheads. Every bolt, every compartment, every pulse of those decker vessels became a weapon waiting to wake. You'll have 10 minutes, said Mike. Once they realize, everything burns. But 10 minutes is all we need. And so they went, willingly into the belly of the enemy, into the place where logic ruled, to bring it chaos. The trap closed not around the humans, but around the machines. Processing ships swallowed the seemingly broken vessels, dragging them deep into the core, unaware they had invited fire into their lungs. At once, hidden compartments burst open. Human strike teams surged forward like a virus unleashed. No protocol, no warning, just precision. In the midst of madness, they knew where to go. They knew what to break. General Mike's voice echoed through encrypted channels. 8 minutes. Make them count. The machines responded, but too slowly. Their defenders formed in perfect lines that shattered when struck from the shadows. While machine units analyzed and prepared, humans had already planted charges and moved on. Captain Bill's voice crackled in. We've reached the nexus, sir. It's beautiful and terrible. Columns of energy spiraled endlessly, a mind bigger than planets, humming with calculation. The heart of the empire. Outside in the void, the rest of the human fleet sprang its own ambush. From dust fields, from dark hollows, from hidden zones, ships powered up and rained destruction across the machine guard fleet. Confusion turned to collapse. Inside, the countdown ran out. Charges lit up the darkness. The central mind flickered. Once, then again, then cracked. It had never felt fear, but now it understood. A billion machine ships across the galaxy began to twitch then. Freeze. Some powered down mid-flight, others spun in confusion, firing blindly. The order that had defined them unraveled. The central sphere collapsed, a starburst of white, tearing the void in half. It rippled through the galaxy like a divine scream. One last cry before silence. Reed's voice came through, broken by a they're shutting down, all of them. It's over. On every world once under siege, people looked skyward and saw their enemy fall like autumn leaves. The galaxy had survived because humanity had refused to be understood, because they made war into art and madness into strategy, because when order failed, chaos saved us all, and the machines perfect, predictable, eternal learned the one thing they could never process. Never underestimate the human mind sharpened by struggle, tempered by chaos, and set free upon the stars. The war had ended, and humanity had earned its place, not as one species among many, but as the one force the galaxy would never forget.